Boom or Bust NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. It's Kyran, I'm back from holiday and I'm joined by Shug as ever. Just the two of us tonight, mate.
Just the two of us will be alright, eh? Yeah. You're back in action tonight?
I certainly am. I left you the keys for the bus and you threw me right under it, so no thanks to you, mate.
I'll teach you to chuck it.
Can't a guy get a holiday and take a break, you know?
Nah, there's no holidays in this game.
Nah, it doesn't feel like it, especially when I was editing while I was away, and all I'm hearing through it, like I couldn't get my headphones set up with my laptop, so I had to play it out loud, and my wife's absolutely gutting herself at you talking about her written this at me, so thanks very much for that. She did say that's the first one I've actually properly listened to, so I actually enjoyed it.
That's a plus. Should we just slag you every week and that gets us one listener up? That'll get us up to two.
I suppose. But
I was going to say, did you just watch NFL full time in your room? Because you've not got much at hand.
Yeah, I'm a man for the shade. I'm not built for the sun, but oh man, Mexico is brilliant. Like, have you been?
I've stopped there on a cruise before. I've not went properly, if you know what I mean.
See the full on like all inclusive side of things. It's brilliant. It's just I absolutely love the shameless greed.
Class.
I see when you go to like the breakfast buffets. I was walking up to the buffet there, then you've got folk that look like they're walking about industrial skips in their hand, like absolutely piled up. There was one woman, stack of pancakes, right? It was about the size of my arm, and then she was trying to put bacon on top of it. It was already like covered in maple syrup, and she couldn't get enough bacon on top of it, so she just started putting it in her mouth.
They're unreal, aren't they? Like, it was the same when I was on cruise. It was like you do realise like you can come back up like this. As you got to run out of food, you'll be alright. Like, you'll not starve.
Just eat enough so they wouldn't sink. Anyway, like you say, NFL back while I was over there. We were all in a text, we were in a group chat, we were talking about it. So good to have fantasy football properly back, man.
Yeah, brilliant. It's just makes your Sunday night routine just so much better, doesn't it?
It does. Like, even watching the games, what I did, like, obviously I was on the right time zone instead of what we're used to over here, the late nights and stuff, which can be a bit brutal. But the Giants getting a win.
I know, buzzing for you.
See, the thing is, right, I only really started supporting the Giants, 5 years ago, something like that. I decided to pick a team, and this is the first time I've followed the Giants and I've had a winning record.
Don't get used to it.
Here, on that, right, next 3 games are at home. Panthers, Bears, Cowboys without Dak. On you go.
How are you getting on with that adapter there?
It's not going to plug in here, I'll tell you that. That's 3 winnable games at home. I'm not saying we will win them because I know how it goes as a Giants fan, but that's a very achievable sort of 3 home games there. So looking forward to exciting times ahead. I like what Brian Dable done. Good fight back against a very good team in the Titans. But from one team to another, mate, you slagged me for my fantasy team. It's a shambles. An absolute shambles.
Oh, you're injury prone, aren't you?
Oh, mate, they're in a state and a half, right? I know
you touched
on it. I know you touched on it, but you didn't name who I had. And I was like, God, they've made that sound a wee bit better than what it is. So, Najee Harris, right, gets pulled out the game, foot injury. I had Joe Mixon, who is okay now, but at one point he was on the sideline getting stretched by the doctor.
Aye.
Elijah Mitchell, who's now, we know, out for 2 months.
Yep.
So yous are all giving me hell. My 3 running backs, my 3 starters are out, right? I thought I had it nailed down this year. The later games start, Harrison Butker, first kick. His ankle goes, I'm like, oh my God.
It just shows you how you can, like, this game, it's a bit about luck, isn't it? Like, you can just have weeks where just everything goes wrong, big injuries happen. I had the same last year. Remember, I had Chris Carson, and he was, the year before, he got loads of points for me, and then he gets that injury, and it was like my last hope would went.
I know, never to be seen again.
I know.
You killed him.
The curse of wee Alex.
Oh, but nah, it's but big matchup this week. Me
Yep,
versus you. Are you feeling
the
confident?
derby. I'm feeling good about my chances. I think I don't know what my record is against you,
I think you gave me a doing last year.
but I think we're 1-1. I think I might be wrong. I'll need to look back at that, but I'm feeling confident. I think with your injury record, you're going to have to do a bit of ducking and diving. I've seen you've picked up Rex Burkhead,
That's it. I did, and we'll
so
get to that.
that's
We will get to that because we'll go down. We sit and start him, and he's part of mine. But nah, the Buckhead Bowl. I think that's what we'll name it.
aye.
Maybe you the Buckhead Bowl. But nah, I fancy my chances. Cleared the decks. Refresh start. I managed to bring in Curtis Samuel, that had a good game for the Redskins, and
Yep.
hopefully he'll keep that going. So, talking about one of the injuries there, the Eli Mitchell one of the
Yep.
sort of hot pickups in our waiver wire this week, and I think everybody's is Jeff Wilson. Like, are you
Mhm.
buying that?
I am, to be honest. I think it's he's worth a pick up, to be honest. He's not a young guy. The noise he's making, this is his time. Where he's got to make an impact. He's done well before when he's been asked, when he's been called upon. So this is his chance now to really step in. So I think he's worth a punt. He's worth a pick up, certainly.
I can see where you're coming from, it, but I just didn't think he'd done enough last year when he came in. I actually think the 49ers are going to shop about. I know they've brought Marlon Mack in from, I think he's in the practice squad. I don't know if he's RB3 or he's been brought into the actual team, but he would certainly be a good backup given his chance because we know he'd done it at the Colts before. He was a good player, but I just don't know if I'm buying the whole Wilson thing. I wouldn't go with. Well, you had the first pick in waivers. I had the second, and none of us
Mhm.
went for Wilson. I just
Yeah.
don't feel that it would give that many points. I feel like Debo Samuel's going to get a bigger workload. I think you're going to see Trey Lance use his legs a lot more. Wilson will be involved, but I just don't think he'll have the impact that folk are expecting.
Possibly, but I mean, you know what it's like in those waiver picks. You occasionally get a gem. You've got to take punts on some guys. So I think, as I said, the way the coach kind of talking it is his kind of his big chance. So we'll see.
I like to say, do you take a punt at guys? I picked up Taysom Hill this week at tight end, the running back slash wide receiver slash quarterback slash tight end at the Saints. So I'm
Utility
going to
man.
utility man. He's the Swiss Army knife of the New Orleans Saints. So I'm going to roll the dice with him this week. Hopefully he'll do all right, but I feel like I'm going to get stung with this one.
Aye, my waivers worked out quite well. I decided to go with Kirk Cousins, bringing him in at quarterback. I think the
Right?
Vikings had a strong start. Baker Mayfield I left out because of him, which it could be much of muchness, but I think Kirk Cousins could do really well. He could be amongst the top quarterbacks now.
Yeah,
Mother move was at tight end. I had to improve that. And Joku gave me nothing last week.
the Joker.
It's the absolute joke. So I brought in Cameron Brate for Tampa Bay. Again, it's not something that really excites me as a massive upgrade, but something that could get me a few more points.
Tight end's a weird one. It's kind of, you either get a top tier tight end or you're going to be in the middle somewhere or all the time in that sense.
Exactly. It's you're no, as I said, outside the top ones, it's slim pickings into it. They're all roughly about the same as each other. There wasn't a lot of value in MD that was picking up. To be honest, he was the best of what was available, and I felt I needed a wee upgrade anyway.
That's it, a wee jolt. But the only guy I can think of that you might get value out of just now, someone in your league, well, someone in your league will have him, is Kyle Pitts. He didn't really have a great start in week one. Maybe going in with a sort of low end trade offer, might pick him up if someone's willing to roll over. Just a suggestion, but the other sort of big injury news for the bigger teams, Keenan Allen being out of tonight's
Yep.
game with a hamstring injury. I know this will go out tomorrow morning, but we'll no doubt find out in the morning when it comes out. But that's a funny one. Mike Williams last week, not many targets. Even when Keenan Allen went off, it tended to be DeAndre Carter and Josh Palmer looks a pickup. Who do
hmm
you like out of the three of them?
I mean, I would have always said Josh Palmer or Mike Williams. To be honest, I think Carter I think there was kind of good noise coming out about him pre-season, but he's been a bit of a journeyman for a reason. He's never really lit it up, so I don't see any great value in taking him. To be honest with you, it would be one of the other two I'd probably go with.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Mike Williams, and I have been trying to ship him this week, but I think that would be a silly move because hamstring injuries don't cure themselves overnight. But
Exactly.
there's just something about Josh Palmer that he's been waiting in the wings. He's been waiting for his chance. I think he's going to do well. I think we're going to see Palmer get more of the targets here. But we'll go into things, and just a Thursday night sort of segment is always a sit and start 'em, Shug. So what we'll do, we'll start with the sit-ems, right? We'll start with that. You want to give me the first one?
I'll give you the first one. This one's a no-brainer for me. Sit-em, Cam Akers. Spoke about him on Monday. He is in my team. He is an absolute disgrace. Gave me 0 points. Don't see him offering anything this week again. It seems as if the coach really doesn't trust him right now. He needs to work his way back in. You've said you would maybe show patience because you think he might get back in at some point and get his opportunities again. But for me, he's an obvious one. Sit him.
Right. So what you were saying is Akers was miles off it.
You're getting in there. You're getting this pun game. You've been away on holiday trying to think of more puns.
On the beach, writing them down, jotting them in my notes. Nah.
Let's just draw a line in the sand.
Next one for me, sit him. It's the mini. Amari Cooper.
Yep.
Not fancying him at all. Reason being, with Deshaun Watson being suspended to week 15 or what, it looks like the Browns are going to be very run heavy. Yep. Two rushing touchdowns for Kareem Hunt, which I think would be a very decent pickup considered the RB2 at the Browns just now. Nick Chubb seems to be carrying the workload there. And the other thing is, Donovan Peoples-Jones got somewhere in the region of 12 to 13 targets last week. That is a lot of targets. Like I keep saying in the podcast, I always fancy my wide receivers when they're getting double-figure targets during games. So when you're seeing one receiver get as many as 12, 13 targets, then the other one's missing out. I just don't fancy Amari Cooper this week at all. And that's why I'm saying sit him.
For me, the next one, sit him, is DK Metcalf.
Oh, controversial.
He got tagged a lot last week, but he only managed 36 yards, I think I'm correct in saying. This week we're up against a San Francisco team. I think they'll be looking to bounce back. I just can't see him getting a lot of joy in this game. From the start, I didn't really fancy Seattle to have a good season. They surprised us a bit with a big win first game of the season, but I think it'll be back to reality second game.
Yeah, definitely. I can see where you're coming from. With that, I didn't see too much of Metcalf in that Broncos game. I had to go at half time, but he didn't feature as much as I expected. I still think he'll have a good season, but like you say, he's up against a tough opponent. That 49ers defence are pretty good. Horrible weather in Chicago for their game, so that would have had a big bearing. But no, my second sit, I hinted at the start of the show, Dameon Pierce at the Texans. I know he was tipped highly when everyone was drafting. I think we tipped him to do well in the draft and in games for the Texans because it looked like he would be the lead back at the Texans. But it's your man that seems to be taking the share of the snaps, and Rex Burkhead. Yep. My man now, I've got him, mate.
I know, I might make you an offer.
Oh, now we're talking. Akers for Burkhead.
It could be a fair swap. Burkhead's good for the dressing room.
Big baldy. Nah, Dameon Pierce, like I said, everyone expected him to take the lion's share of the snaps. He get 28% of the snaps last week, whereas Burkhead was on the field for 72% of them, which for me pretty much says that he's there or thereabouts, but he's not quite ready to go. So that's why I've got him as sit him. Now that's the sit him's out the way. Shug, you want to hit us with your first start on, mate?
Yep, mine on my team is Christian Kirk. Very solid start last week with 17.7 points. I can confirm I've had a lot of offers coming through for him.
Me being one of them.
Yep, a few people knocking the door about him inquiring. I'll not say who else toasty. He'll start against Colts. Colts allowed the second most points to a wide receiver last season, so I think he could have a good day there. I think he's on a good season. I expect his points to continue again this weekend. So
I like it. I can see where you're coming from there. My first start on this week, I'm going with Jamal Williams of the Detroit Lions. He might be RB2 there behind DeAndre Swift. As far as I know, DeAndre Swift has not trained this week. He's toiling with an ankle injury, so it looks like Jamal Williams is going to get more of a share of the snaps. And if you look at the statistics last week, he was the highest for goal line snaps. I think he's going to have another big game, and that's why I would start Jamal Williams. I really like the look of him at running back, aggressive runner, and with Swift toiling with injury, that's why I go with him.
now that you've picked me as a certain to get injured.
I can't deny that.
My next one, I looked at a few. I'm going to go AJ Dillon for the Packers. He had a very good start, despite the Packers obviously being defeated. I think they will. I think they'll give the Bears a bit of a doing this weekend, which I don't like to say that. So I think I expect to do it. I expect them to have another big day this weekend. So I've got AJ Dillon as a must start.
I agree with you there. I think in terms of Green Bay Packers, very similar to last year, where they lost the first game to the Jaguars. I think they'll be looking to bounce back big style. Aaron Rodgers just doesn't seem happy with receiving options, so I think they're going to be run heavy. Mm-hmm. Dillon's going to play a big part of that, but no. Yeah. My second choice is Brandon Ayuk. Now, that might seem a wee bit out of left field, but I just feel that there's targets to be had at the 49ers. With Mitchell being out, I think we could see Deebo Samuel running a lot more. Ayuk then becomes more of a target, and I think you'll see more targets this week. I really like him. A lot of people tipped him early in the draft to be a sneaky sleeper. He's got bags of ability, and I think folks should be starting him this week if they're hesitating in a sort of wide receiver 3 slot. So that's my last pick for the startums, which rounds us up quite nicely. So what we'll do, we'll run through the games. I know that we're recording just now on Thursday night, so by the time this comes out, we'll miss the game tomorrow. So I think we just predict it anyway, and if we're wrong, we're wrong, and if we're right, we're right. But we're in for a cracker. The Chiefs v the Chargers. Both teams looked electric last week, although the Chargers nearly let it slip. Both two of the most entertaining quarterbacks in the game in Herbert and Mahomes. Which way do you see this one going?
I think it's going to be a really tight one, but again, I thought the Chiefs were so impressive last weekend, and I think they'll just edge it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. There was a lot of doubt over the Chiefs in terms of no Tyreek Hill and what's Mahomes going to be like without him, but when you seen it last week, they were spreading the ball all over the place. Juju looked to link up with Mahomes really well, and I'll be starting Juju this week as well. I think he's going to have a big season at the Chiefs if he can stay fit. I know that shoulder injury he got surgery on last year. I'm not sure if it's the same one, but he's been toiling this week with a shoulder injury. So I like Juju Smith-Schuster in that game. The Chargers on the other side of the field, have already spoke about them. I'm feeling Josh Palmer's going to have a big game.
Yep. I mean, you said it with the Chiefs. We spoke about it Monday. We think they might have even improved, which was not a lot of people expected. As you said, they're now moving the ball. They're now a lot less predictable. It was every week you were saying it was Hill and Kelsey it was going to. Now it seems, as you said, it's a lot more varied. Their offense, a lot more options.
Yeah, plenty of targets there. They're just such a good side to watch. But no, we're in for a cracker. The Chargers are a great side to watch. I know producer Greg will be listening to this, and he will be saying that we're completely wrong for the Chiefs because he's a big Chargers man. But it's hard to predict that one. But Chiefs to edge it. Okay, looking across now. Steelers and the Patriots. What are you feeling for that?
Oof, I mean, this is going to be. It's got to be a tough one again. I think Harris's injury, I think is he back in, or has been confirmed on that?
I don't think he's in. I think it's looking like Ramondre Stevenson is going to get the bulk of the snaps, so he would be a very good player to start there. I think he's going to have a busy day. I
think it's going to be a very tough one, but a lot of these games I'm predicting a sort of bounce back from week one, and I think the Pats might just edge this one. But I think it'll be close.
I disagree. I think the Steelers surprised me a wee bit last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of Mitch Trubisky, but I think he had a good game last week. I think they were unlucky when losing Harris when they did in the game, but I just feel like Deontay Johnson is such a good wide receiver. Chase Claypool as well. They seem to have weapons all over the field, but without Watt, with his injury, he's going to miss a bit of time. Maybe swings it in the Patriots' favour, but I fancy the Steelers for that one away to the Patriots. Yeah. Next one, I don't think you need to ask me who I think will win. The Giants at home to the Panthers. Are you disagreeing with me here? I've got the Giants all day, obviously.
No, I actually do agree with you. I think they'll go 2-0. I think Bartley again is going to play a key role in it. I've just got a feeling it was a big win for them last week, the Giants, and I think that'll keep them going. Panthers wasn't really impressed with them last week.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game as well. I think we've done an absolutely brilliant job of Derrick Henry last week, but Christian McCaffrey coming up against the Giants defence, I'm still not 100% sure in the Giants defence, but they're going a long way to prove me wrong. Christian McCaffrey poses a whole different sort of encounter than Henry does. He's a pass catching running back. He's so, I don't know, flexible is the best way to put it, with how he goes about the game. So it's going to be another tough game. I took a good slagging for my prediction last week, saying we'd get beat and we won, but I'll take that every single week. So Giants this week. I think I hope you listen to us. I think the Panthers are trash. Okay, we have got the Browns versus the Jets. This is another interesting one. I'm going to tend to fancy the Browns here. Right, I just don't fancy the Jets with Zach Wilson being out. I've not heard anything to say that he'll be back. I just feel that the Browns look good, that sort of 1-2 punch with Chubb and Hunt. Like I said, Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to come into his own. I think your man Njoku might be in for a bit of a game as well. I think he's going to get more targets than Cooper. We'll wait and see, but I fancy the Browns to beat the Jets.
I don't know about him, but I'm agreeing with you. I think they've got enough weapons to win it quite convincingly. Like the guys you mentioned, Chubb, Kareem Hunt. I think the Browns, off the back of a big win in the first game, I think they'll have enough.
Next one up, the Jaguars at the Colts. Now you said you'd really like Christian Kirk for this game. I tend to agree with you here, but I was very impressed with the Colts last week. I thought Pittman looked very good. I think Matt Ryan looked good at quarterback as well. They look quite a solid team. Jonathan Taylor as well. I just cannot see past the Colts here. The Jaguars are going to do well this year. Trevor Lawrence, I think he'll do well. Eventually, he'll hit a run of form, but it's a bit soon. I think it's a Colts all day here.
Yeah, I think I said Christian Kirk. I think he'll have a good game, but you could be right. I think the Colts might just edge it in the end. Both teams good teams. I think the Colts, as I said, rallied sort of late on in the game, sort of get themselves together last week, so they might carry on from that. I think it's a tough one to call, to be honest with
you. Yeah, definitely. Another tough one to call, the Ravens versus the Dolphins. I don't know here. I really don't know. What do you think?
So, I think it's a very tough one. I want to say Dolphins are going to win. I think it's got to be very tough on the road there. I'm still going to back them. I think they had a convincing win last week. It started them off nicely. Both teams are coming off the back of win. Let's go for it. It's a toss a coin, but I think the Dolphins will edge them. I think Hill's doing well. Waddle. I think you also might see Chase Edmonds playing more of a role.
Yeah. I think he done well. I think he done well from what I've seen on Sunday for the Dolphins. But did you see the guys in the crowd in the Waddle when Waddle scored?
Class.
I can honestly see you doing that.
The Waddler. I love that.
I know. Since we're playing each other this week, I'm going to go the Ravens. I've got Lamar Jackson quarterback. I want a big game out of Lamar. I just think...
I think it's 50-50.
I do. It makes for an interesting game. And this is the beauty of the NFL. There's so many teams are evenly matched. This is my second season having Lamar Jackson at quarterback, and I tend to find in games he starts slow and ends like a house on fire.
Nah, he's the worst Jackson I've ever heard of.
There's too many jokes in there that we're definitely not going to go there.
Hey, let's leave it at that, will we?
I know you don't want to be starting something. Anyway.
Anyway, moonwalking
on. We'll get the Moonwalker on Monday, so we'll get to that. Okay, next one up, the New Orleans Saints, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who are you fancying?
That's a good one. I'm going to go with the Saints. I've got a couple of players in there. I fancy them. I think the Bucs won last week, but I don't think it was a vintage performance by any means. That is kind of typical Bucs. Tom Brady, they get the job done, but I just think the Saints might be too strong. I didn't think they were particularly tested last week, particularly Prescott going off injured. It feels as if things just kind of fell into place for them in terms of getting the win. I'm going to predict my man, Kamara, the Golden Goose. I think he's going to have a day.
You weren't happy with him. You weren't happy with him on Sunday.
I wasn't happy with first half. He wasn't great, right? But Winston got a couple of points for me later on, so I think they'll do all right.
Yeah, I'll go the Bucs in. Right, I fancy Brady to do well again. I know that Chris Godwin's now out, and I was actually going to put him in as one of my starters, but I fancied Russell Gage to have a big game here. I think he'll take the share of the snaps that Godwin's usually getting to. I know I listened to one of the experts earlier that said it would be Julio Jones because he looked good last week, but Jones is going to get the targets regardless if Godwin's playing or not. So I think you'll see Russell Gage play a bigger part here. But no, regardless if Dak Prescott's playing for the Cowboys or not, the Buccaneers shutting out the Cowboys on Monday night. Was it Monday night? That was a late game on Sunday, wasn't it? Says a lot. I think they're still very strong defensively as well. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers for that one. Looking down the list, 49ers versus the Seahawks. Who are you liking there?
It's got to be 49ers there. For me, we fancied them for the pre-season. I know they struggled last week, but I think what we spoke about Monday was the weather was a huge part in that. The Seahawks got a big win the first game, but as I kind of alluded to earlier, I think the 49ers will put it right and get the result.
Yeah, I know we talked about Eli Mitchell being missing, but I was quite impressed with Geno Smith watching him against the Broncos the other night. More than what I was expecting. Seahawks looked pretty good, and you've got Pete Carroll on the touchline. You're always standing a chance he's a winner right through and through, but I fancy the 49ers. I do. It's hard to say no, but
definitely. We were probably harsh on the Seahawks. I think quite a few times we kind of said how the players weren't really relevant. We didn't expect them to do anything. I don't expect them to pull up any threes, but they definitely started strongly with that win. I don't think any is called before it, but I still think 49ers, I think there's a lot more to come from them, and I do think the weather played a big part in Chicago last week.
Yeah, 100%. We'll hopefully we've seen a bounce back there, but over still staying at that side of the country, LA Rams going up against the Falcons. I think this is straightforward. It's going to be the Rams. They're just such a strong team. Don't get me wrong, I thought the Falcons looked better than expected, but I really like the Rams. It's hard to say that they would beat the Falcons.
Yeah, I find that I can't disagree with you there. I think the Rams again will hit their form this week, put things right. I can't see anything less than the Rams charging.
Cam Akers to get more than 0 points.
I think you would hope so, but I wouldn't hold your breath.
You're raging, aren't you?
I hate him.
Watch this, right? 30-point game for Cam Akers because you're playing me and I'm slacking you.
See if I leave him on my bench and he gets me 30 points, because I can tell you he'll not be in my starting team.
Okay. Across slightly, Las Vegas Raiders versus Arizona Cardinals. This is another intriguing one. It could be a very good game. Raiders maybe not the best start, but I did think Devontae Adams played well. Derek Carr didn't really get going. But you could say the same about the Cardinals as well. Kyler Murray didn't have the greatest game. I'm going to go the Raiders for this one. I fancy them to do well.
I've got to agree. I thought both defences were a bit of a shit show last week. I think the Raiders, as you said, will have enough. I think you talked about their players, about Card, Devontae Adams. I think they'll. I fancy them to win this.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree there. Moving on again.
At home as well. You wouldn't bet against them.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. What a place that is. I'd love to be there right now. Anyway, I've had my holidays for the year. Move on. Broncos versus the Texans. I don't think this is going to be the most entertaining game, but you'd fancy Russell Wilson to bounce back after the slagging he's took this week, considering the fourth down that lost him the game on Monday night. You'd fancy an angry Russell Wilson to overcome the Texans.
Aye, I'm agreeing with you there. As I said, a common theme. I've put a lot of teams who are maybe had shock defeats last week to bounce back this week. I think as well being his debut at home. I fancy them to win.
Yeah, I think if the Texans are going to get anything, it's going to be through Brandon Cooks, or it's going to be through even Burkhead. Just like I say, the amount of snaps that he's taken, 72% on the field, is big numbers for a running back themselves. I don't know if we'll see Pierce a bit more, but I wouldn't be starting Pierce in that game. Broncos defence, I thought, looked very shaky, but on offence, when you've got guys like Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, Russell Wilson throwing the ball, Javonte Williams there as well, I thought looked excellent the other night.
Yep.
Nah, I can't see past the Broncos there. Next one, intriguing, very intriguing, and I hope it goes away the Bengals as they meet the Cowboys without Dak Prescott. It's hard to see past the Bengals. I thought they looked really good. I know it went to overtime and they should have had the game tied up a lot sooner on Sunday, but Joe Mixon looked on fire, scored a lot of points for me. Burrows sacked a lot of times, but for a guy that gets sacked a lot of times, got up, got on with it. I thought he still played all right. O-line let him down big time, but the Cowboys, I just can't see them doing anything without Dak Prescott.
Aye, I'm the same. I think Dak being out is huge. I would have probably tipped the Cowboys if Dak was in there. I don't think there would have been much in it, but you're right in what you say. Bengals good start. I hope Mixon doesn't get a lot of points because I know he's in your team. But I do fancy them to win.
So go for Joe. Not a problem.
I hope you have to borrow your head.
Right. That's the last for tonight. I have to press and stop. Anyway, derby match. The late game on Sunday. The Packers versus the Bears. Aaron Rodgers claims to own the Bears. Do you think he'll own them this Sunday?
I'm afraid. I think he will. I said the Bears surprised everybody with a win last week. Even Roberto, a Bears fan, I think he was quite surprised by it as well. I think the Packers, again, I've said will bounce back. I think they're too strong. I think Rodgers will have his say. I think he will dominate the game, and I just can't see that Bears defence stop them.
Yeah, it's going to be another interesting game. I know you guys spoke about it Monday night about Darnell Mooney not really seeing much of the ball at all. The Bears went very run heavy. And maybe that's another good one to point out there, that Khalil Herbert seems to be playing a lot bigger role than people expected at running back for the Bears. And we might tend to see a sort of Chubb and Hunt situation at the Bears where Herbert shares a lot of snaps with Montgomery. So that's one to watch out for as well for any Herbert owners. In terms of the Packers, I think we're going to see, like I said with Wilson, an angry Aaron Rodgers here. He doesn't like the Bears. The Bears don't like him. Makes for a good game. I know that celebration last year where he was trying to deal with the title belt, saying "I own you, I own you." There's going to be a bit of needle there as well, so that'll be quite entertaining. But, yep. So Bills at the Titans, 1 or 2 games we've got to go here. For me, if I was to write down a power rankings for the teams I watched last week, the Bills would be right at the top by a mile. I thought they looked fabulous.
Absolutely.
I can't see by them against the Titans.
I am the same. I don't think you've got too much to add to it. I don't think anybody will disagree with you there. Bills strong in every single department. See them winning convincingly, to be honest.
Yeah, and I liked last week. I know Gabe Davis got the touchdown right away for me. I was delighted, but I didn't really see too much after that. Diggs tended to get a wee bit more of the ball, which I predicted he wouldn't. I'm happy to own up to my mistakes. But in terms of the Titans, I'm not sure they've really put their identity down last week. I know Dontrell Hilliard had a good game. But he only, I know he was a high waiver pick as well, but I don't think he'll be featured as much as what people expect him. He had 2 attempts last week, scored from both of them. 2 nice plays right enough, but Derek Henry's going to take the bulk of the snaps at running back there. I also get rid of Robert Woods this week because he was the invisible man. I think you might even see him be like Julio Jones this year for the Titans, where he was just non-existent the way he was last year. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but hard to see past the Bills there. They're a serious contender for the Super Bowl, like they were last year, but I think they're firing the bellies there this year.
Aye, absolutely.
Yep, so the late Monday night game, Eagles versus the Vikings. Another tough one to call, but I'm going to go Vikings here, Shug. I really thought they looked good, like you said as well. Kirk Cousins, always a solid option as your QB2, or in a lot of occasions your QB1 in fantasy. With Justin Jefferson, all you need to do is throw the ball to him. The guy is just unbelievable. Maybe the best wide receiver in football right now. He was on fire last week, so I like the Vikings for this one.
I'm going to agree with you. Vikings very strong last week. Kirk Cousins, I've put him in my team as QB. I think he's going to get a lot of joy this week for the reasons that you mentioned. I think, again, it's a very, very tight one to call, but I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the Eagles, I've got Devonta Smith in my team. He got 0 points last week. I think it was 0. Yeah, it's very low. No, I'm right. He got 0. He only got 4 targets, never caught any of them. Really, really surprised at that. But I'm going to hold on to him for another week. I know he sort of splashed big in the later games of last season, so I'm going to hold on to him for now and see where I go from there. But no, that's what I fancied there. I actually think we missed out. Yep, I did. I do this every week. The Lions at the Commanders. Who are you fancying there?
Oof, that's a tough one. I was quite harsh on the Commanders at the start of the season. They actually pulled off a really big win. They're looking strong. I think the Lions might just edge us, but I think it's going down to the wire.
It's going to be a close game. I think the Lions did look quite good last week. The Commanders, I was more than impressed with. I know they've got Wentz at quarterback who can go from the sublime to the completely stupid within a matter of seconds. An interesting thing there is Terry McLaurin owners maybe a wee bit worried after last week, the lack of targets that he got as well. I think Logan Thomas at tight end got more targets than him, which is very, very surprising considering he got that $70 million contract in the summer. So that's one to watch as well to see how he fares, but I wouldn't be too worried there. We know how good they can be. So week 1, don't panic. I know I say that because I'm complete opposite from what I've done this week. I've completely panicked.
Yeah.
But no, one game left and it's the only one that counts. It's a Burkhead Bowl. Me versus you.
Cannot wait. Both of us with a bad start. My team just a nightmare. I got my team selection wrong. Boys didn't show up for me, and my last hope was it just didn't happen. But we bounced back this week, and it's the Burkhead Bowl. It's a derby. I think my boys will be up for it, and I think we'll have more than enough to get over the line.
I'm going to take that transcript and I'm going to plaster it over the walls of the dressing room. Get the boys going.
I think it's predicted to be very tight. Every time I check it, it keeps changing, but I think it's always within a point or two, isn't it?
The projected's within a point or two, so I will see how it goes. It's always a good game between us. Will it come down Sunday, Red Zone?
I might actually do that.
Get the wings on.
We need to come up with a forfeit for the loser.
Oh, this is good. I don't like trade forfeits. It's a wee bit harsh in the league. We'll leave that to Toasty and Jordan. A forfeit for the loser. Right, it's Graham's wedding coming up next weekend. The loser's got to stand up in the speech and say this wedding's horse shit.
The winner's got to do that as well.
Straight out of Step Brothers. Anyway, we digress. Thank you, as ever, to everyone that's listened. Please subscribe, please like if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, and just keep coming back, guys. Interact with us on social media. It's been good fun. We'll be back with you on Monday to round things up. But thank you for listening. And as ever, Shug, it's been a good laugh.
Cheers, mate. Enjoyed that.
And we'll we'll lock horns on Sunday and come back to things
Can't
on
wait.
Monday.
Can I expect a lot of violent voice notes over the weekend?
I'm looking forward to it, and I'll play them on Monday. Especially if I win.
Can't wait.
Okay, but thank you everyone for listening. Bye.